Have you ever trusted someone completely, only to have that trust shattered in the most unexpected way? Today, I want to share my story, a journey of betrayal, heartbreak, and ultimately self-discovery. It's a story about the moments that can change your life forever and the hard lessons learned along the way. I always thought I had a happy marriage. My wife and I were close, always sharing everything, or so I believed. But recently something shifted. She started spending more time on her phone, texting and smiling at the screen, then quickly hiding it when I looked her way. Her laugh felt hollow, her attention elsewhere. I tried brushing it off, telling myself I was being paranoid, but a nagging feeling grew stronger. Her protectiveness over her phone became almost obsessive. Any innocent attempt to look over her shoulder was met with a tense smile or a change in subject. I felt her slipping away, a growing distance I couldn't bridge. The woman I once knew, the person I trusted completely, now seemed like a stranger. One night I couldn't take it anymore. After she'd fallen asleep, I picked up her phone, hands shaking, and saw messages that confirmed my worst fears. The betrayal hit me like a punch. I lay there, feeling empty. All those years, the laughter, the love, had it all been a lie? As dawn broke, I realized I had a choice: confront her or walk away. But either way, nothing would be the same. I didn't want to believe anything was wrong. Our marriage had always been strong, or so I thought. But her behavior kept making me uneasy. She found more reasons to stay out late, work late, meet friends, or run errands. At first, I brushed it off as nothing more than a busy schedule. But the more I thought about it, the more something felt off. I began questioning myself, wondering if I was simply paranoid or if there was more to it. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was missing something important, something right in front of me. Her phone calls became shorter, and there was tension in the air whenever we were together. The intimacy between us, once so natural, seemed forced, distant. I couldn't ignore the growing doubt. My mind raced with possibilities, and I knew I had to find out the truth, one way or another. I decided to keep a closer eye on things, watch for patterns, look for signs. Maybe it was just my insecurities, but I had to know if something deeper was happening. The uncertainty was unbearable, and I wasn't ready to face the truth yet. But I couldn't just turn a blind eye anymore. One night, I finally found myself alone with her phone, abandoned on the kitchen counter. The temptation was too strong to ignore. My heart pounded in my chest as I unlocked it, my fingers trembling. I scrolled through her messages, telling myself I was just confirming what I already suspected. But what I found left me frozen. There, in plain sight, were conversations with men who looked eerily similar to me. Same tone, same laughter, even similar names. But they weren't just casual chats. The messages were flirtatious, intimate, even romantic. She called them pet names, affectionate terms she had always reserved for me. My stomach sank as I read words that should have been mine, shared with others. I felt sick to my core, as though the ground had been ripped from beneath me. The depth of her affection for these men was clear, yet she had kept it hidden. Each message cut deeper than the last, a betrayal I hadn't been prepared for. The reality of what I had uncovered hit me like a wave. I wasn't just paranoid. I wasn't imagining things. She had been lying to me, and my marriage, the life I thought I knew, was a farce. As I read through the messages, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, but what I uncovered only deepened my sense of betrayal. It wasn't just that she had been talking to other men. There was something chillingly specific about them. They shared certain features with me, as if she had been searching for something familiar, yet different. These men weren't just substitutes. They were playing into fantasies I hadn't known she had. Each message felt like a blow, a reminder that I wasn't enough. She wasn't simply seeking companionship. She was chasing something I couldn't give her, desires that existed beyond our marriage. The pet names, the intimate words, the way she shared parts of herself that should have been mine, it was all a violation of the trust we had built. The realization crushed me. My wife, the woman I loved, had stepped outside of our vows, seeking fulfillment in others. I felt sick, disturbed by the realization that our bond had been tainted by secrets and lies. I had been living a lie, And as the weight of that sank in, I didn't know where to go from here. The truth was clearer than ever, and it was a truth I wasn't ready to face. I couldn't stay silent any longer. The pain of knowing the truth was consuming me, and I had to confront her. Hours were spent gathering the screenshots, each message a painful reminder of her betrayal. I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was clear. She had crossed a line, and I couldn't pretend I hadn't seen it. My hands trembled as I saved the screenshots, torn between heartbreak and anger. I knew I couldn't continue in this silence, pretending everything was fine. I needed answers. With the evidence in hand, I steeled myself for the conversation that would change everything. I needed time. Time to process everything that had happened. Time to figure out what came next. We agreed to take some space, both of us retreating into silence to reflect on what had been shattered between us. In the days that followed, I found myself lost in a whirlwind of thoughts, struggling to make sense of the pain. Before I dive deeper into the story, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced something similar? How did you handle it? Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. I'd love to know how you navigated those moments of doubt and betrayal. She told me she still loved me, but her words lacked conviction, as though she were trying to convince herself as much as me. Then she admitted something that cut deeper than anything else. She was unwilling to change. The affair wasn't a mistake. It was a part of her she refused to let go of. She wanted both the life we had and the freedom to explore these other desires without guilt. I listened, but the more she spoke, the clearer it became. Staying with her would mean compromising my own self-respect. I couldn't accept a relationship where trust was no longer a foundation, where the person I loved had become someone unrecognizable. The love I once had for her was still there, but it wasn't enough to erase the betrayal. I realized painfully that for my own peace of mind, I had to walk away. Face paled as I showed her the screenshots, each message a silent accusation. At first, she denied everything, but the tension in the air was too thick to ignore. Slowly, her defenses crumbled, and with a tremble in her voice, she admitted to the affair. She explained it in a way that still haunts me. She had been exploring a side of herself that she felt she couldn't share with me. Desires, fantasies, parts of her that she didn't think I could understand or fulfill. She spoke about feeling disconnected, like a part of her was missing, and how the men had provided something I couldn't. The words stung like a slap to the face. She wasn't just looking for affection. She was seeking something deeper, something I never knew she wanted. As she spoke, I was left reeling, questioning everything I thought I knew about her, about us. Who was she really? And who had I been living with all these years? The betrayal was painful, but the confusion, wondering if I even knew her anymore, was worse. The woman I thought I loved had changed, and so had I. I needed time. Time to process everything that had happened. Time to figure out what came next. We agreed to take some space, both of us retreating into silence to reflect on what had been shattered between us. In the days that followed, I found myself lost in a whirlwind of thoughts, struggling to make sense of the pain. She told me she still loved me, but her words lacked conviction, as though she were trying to convince herself as much as me. Then she admitted something that cut deeper than anything else. She was unwilling to change. The affair wasn't a mistake. It was a part of her she refused to let go of. She wanted both the life we had and the freedom to explore these other desires without guilt. I listened, but the more she spoke, the clearer it became. Staying with her would mean compromising my own self-respect. I couldn't accept a relationship where trust was no longer a foundation, where the person I loved had become someone unrecognizable. The love I once had for her was still there, but it wasn't enough to erase the betrayal. I realized painfully that for my peace of mind, I had to walk away. After long and painful conversations, I told her I couldn't stay with someone who didn't fully commit to our relationship. I filed for divorce, knowing that trust was now broken beyond repair. She pleaded for another chance, but I knew we had reached an end. I reflect on the journey of healing after the divorce. I describe how difficult it was to trust again, but I also found strength in moving forward. I began focusing on my own happiness and rebuilding a life that felt authentic and honest. I end the story by reflecting on the lessons I learned about trust, self-respect, and honesty. I emphasize the importance of openness in relationships and how I'm now more prepared to find someone who values the same depth of loyalty and trust I do. Thanks for listening to my story. It wasn't easy to relive, but I hope it resonates with you. If you've learned anything from my journey, let it be this. Trust, self-respect, and honesty are the foundation of any meaningful relationship. Never compromise on those values. If you found this story helpful, or if you're ready to start your own journey of healing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, and remember your happiness is worth fighting for.